Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond. Welcome to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, January 13th, 2017. Been doing this for 3 years approximately now. We are on episode 190, and we have really made it our goal as a community to join up every week to cover and celebrate the various projects that are working in the blockchain space that would like coverage and otherwise might not easily receive it. We started in BitShares, and with graphene technology, we're always open for covering new blockchains, but we also have a lot of experts in the graphene space, which is beginning to be noticed as one of the premier token consensus algorithms that are available for blockchain. Now, with that said, we've gone from BitShares. We cover BitShares. We have Steam, which is where we utilize RSVP threads to enable people to post and ask for the ability to have coverage in these Hangouts. And then we give them the ability to reach out, or we advocate for them to reach out to those who they trust in their own communities and people who are within the Steam ecosystem itself and the graphene ecosystem itself to go out and upvote them if they trust what they're doing and if they believe in what the project is. So the people who join these Hangouts are really kind of a special group of people, just like the Hangouts themselves are kind of a special form of media that you don't get everywhere else. The people who join up here, you can literally come up into one of these Hangouts and ask them difficult questions if you feel that Fuzzy is asking softball questions or that the rest of the community is not being hard on them. You can ask questions, and these people are willing to run through the gauntlet, so to speak, to deserve the recognition that they are working so hard to receive and the resources that they have asked for in the past to accomplish the goals that they have set. So we have really done some cool things with this stuff. We have PeerPlays that will be another blockchain that's going to be coming up. We have projects within each blockchain that do show up at these Hangouts. So we advise everybody to consider this as an opportunity to really get your voice out in a place where you don't have a whole lot of people telling you what you can and can't cover. And this also offers you the ability to onboard a bunch of people into an ecosystem, Steam, that pays you for their trust if they upvote you. So it's really an attempt at synergy and changing the way that the media engine changing the way that the current media engine kind of works, because the philosophy behind it is that everything needs to kind of get a 2.0 version, and we need to really look at all systems, not just blockchain systems, and how they work to help the individual and help society. So these are big questions we tackle here, and we're trying to actually kind of turn media on its head. So we do pay out those individuals who join these Hangouts to speak. Now, with that said, we have a pretty long list of attendees today. We're going to start with PeerPlays, and they're going to provide a 15-minute update and question and answer session. Then we're going to move on to BlockPay, followed by Jianjolly, and he is going to be talking about BitKapital. We have Apptrade, who's going to be talking about, obviously, Apptrade. VirtualGrowth will be here. He will be talking about the various projects and things that he is and connections and networking that he's doing in the Steam space and elsewhere. Daily Bitcoin News is going to be talking a little bit about what they do, followed by Kernel from Steam Cure. And then last but not least is going to be SirLunch, the host, who has created a Steam It video game series and something called the Vo2 podcast. So with that said, I am the moderator, so I will go ahead and I will ask Data Security Node if he is available to provide the updates for PeerPlays, and if he is, I'll go ahead and pass that talking stick on to you so you can do what you do best.
I certainly am ready.
You always are.
Good day, everybody. Thank you very much, Fuzzy, for that introduction. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of Bunker Chain Labs, the company which is heading up the PeerPlays project. And today, I'd just like to give a quick introduction as to what PeerPlays is all about. We've been giving updates for some time now, and some of you might be new to hearing what it is. So PeerPlays was born out of the idea that we believe the future of all gaming is in provable fair gaming, that when people play games online, that they deserve fairness and they deserve justice. And so with that, PeerPlays was born. Using blockchain technology, we are able to deliver provable fair gaming for everybody around the world. And so with that, we have gone into development. We have created the blockchain, which will deliver provable fair gaming. And we have a testnet, which has shown the first provable fair game running with graphene. And now we are gone into our next phase of development, where we are going to be launching our next crowdfund. We started off initially back in May with a starter crowdfund, which in turn led us to developing the current testnet that you see today. So now we're going to the next phase where we're going to crowdfund for further development that includes sports betting, additional on-chain games, which will be provably fair, as well as other elements to the PeerPlays network to allow gaming to become provably fair worldwide. So with that said, the big update this week that everybody's been waiting for is to find out when our next crowd sale is going to take place. And if you go to our website now, you'll see that we have posted the date, which will be February 26th, 2017, when PeerPlays will be launching its next crowdfund. And this crowdfund will be very significant. I suggest everybody pay close attention to all our social media updates and any kind of updates we put out over the next few weeks leading up to that date. We will be providing more information going forward on that. However, that is the date to be setting your radar to. We've updated our website with a countdown clock, as well as an email space so you can get notified on those updates. So if you'd like to put your email in at peerplays.com so that you know what's happening, then that'd be great. You'll also notice that the date that it takes place is at exactly the same time that Beyond Bitcoin will be broadcasting. So our crowdfund will be launching exactly the same time as we usually do these announcements. So that'll be very exciting. Besides that, we have been continuing to develop and work very hard with everything that's going on. We have teams now working in Asia, Europe, as well as North America, with the ongoing development of the PeerPlays blockchain and all its elements, specifically with the new wallet that we talked about in the previous weeks, coming along very nicely, and our sports betting application, which is also looking fantastic. I wish I could share with you right now. We will be in the future, but I can assure you that it is something very, very beautiful to behold. It's just, you couldn't believe that this is even a blockchain application. It looks amazing. So those are some of the developments going on. So with that said, I think that's pretty much the information I need to pass on. Give me just one moment, please. Sorry, I apologize. I just realized that I gave I gave some wrong information in my update. Terribly sorry. But February 26th does not fall on a Friday. It falls on a Sunday. So we won't be launching it at the same time as as the Beyond Bitcoin show is taking place. However, that does give you 2 days notice before the crowdfund takes place. So please disregard my commentary about it happening on the Beyond Bitcoin show, but it will be taking place a couple of days afterwards on a Sunday, February 26, 2017, just to avoid any confusion, at 1500 UTC time. So if there are any questions, good news is that Michael, who is in Hong Kong, working with our team out in Hong Kong right now, is with us today on this update. And if there are any questions, he'll be able to take care of them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening. It's really great to be back, and yeah, it's things are looking absolutely amazing here. We've got a bunch of people that are working really hard to get things together, and I'll tell you what, 2017 is going to be our year in a major way. We're poised to do some really amazing things in the coming months here. So. Yeah, that said, I'm just kind of here to answer questions actually today. So it's been a long day, and it's pretty late here where I am, but I never want to miss the opportunity to be here when I can, and so yeah. Anyway, if anyone has any questions, shoot.
Well, I will personally just jump in real quick and say what I said in the Mumble chat box, which is we can hold a special party for this if you want. I have no problem taking some time out on a Sunday to do it for you guys, especially since you guys were planning on announcing it here. I think it's the least I can do. So if you guys want to be able to keep that statement live, then I will gladly set up a special PeerPlays Hangout for that if you guys are interested.
Yeah, that might be. I don't think we've actually done a special PeerPlays Hangout before, so I think that may be a really cool thing to do. We can probably prepare some fun, some fun previews and things like that for everybody that joins up that day. So yeah, let's talk more about that, Fuzzy. And but I think that's a possibility for sure.
Well, my thinking is, and this is for everybody who's listening as well, and a reason to join up, is a lot of the people who join these Hangouts are really competent in their own ways and can bring a lot of value to various projects. So other individuals who are interested in helping these graphene chains flourish by promoting the new ones that come out that are doing special cool things and trying to innovate, that's how we make sure that all of these other chains get a lot of respect right out of the door. And that just helps all graphene chains in existence, because the cool thing with graphene chains and the concept of DAX is that we actually offer services for these coins. And it's not just another altcoin. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you also, Crypto.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, everyone that we're working with out here is, there's most people in the space are just familiar with a small handful of technologies that are sort of the most popular ones, and we can certainly throw Ethereum up into that mix, but just speaking to many coders here, as soon as people start actually looking at graphene at the code level, they realize that graphene is just going to absolutely dominate in this coming year. I know there's probably a number of other projects that are going on behind the scenes that are likely going to be making announcements in the coming months, and everything that we're doing, it's just so fit for the types of sort of decentralized organizations that we're building, and so anything that we can do to promote that is always very beneficial. So
G Chicken's asking a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. G Chicken's asking a question here. He says, "Can we speak about how many tokens are on the offer for? I'm assuming for the next ICO, or is it still too early?" I think I was it was loosely mentioned that 100 million total issuance. Any details on potential goals as to funding? Will all remaining unsold tokens be burned or used for future dev fund? Maybe it is too early to discuss any of those, but he has a few questions there. I guess let's start with, can you talk about how many tokens will be offered in this new crowdfund or ICO?
I can only say that it will. We obviously will still be keeping to our original allocation projections at the very maximum. It will likely be less than that, but that is the maximum limits that we set originally back in May. Yes, that was 1 million. We have tossed around the idea of potentially doing, I guess, what you'd call like a multiplier. We're not sure if we want to do that yet. To give an example, if some of you may recall back before the very first BitShares blockchain was launched, there was going to be, I think, 2 million BitShares, and they ended up multiplying everything by 1,000 and making there be 2 billion. So everybody basically just got, that for every one they got 1,000. I'm not saying that would be the multiplier or even that we're going to do a multiplier, but there's been a lot of suggestions and ideas about that, and we're kind of weighing, the potential advantages or disadvantages of doing something like that. But that doesn't affect, the general ratio obviously would still be the same, exactly the same. So,
it's just more how they're used.
Yeah, it's more, I guess it's more of a psychology thing.
Yeah.
People not wanting to buy in necessarily at a token that's already, selling for, way more than, I think PeerPlays was, the third most per token on any of the top 100 market cap per individual token. So, there's advantages and disadvantages. And in one respect, there's sort of this exclusivity to having a very low number that people might perceive. And then the other side as well, people maybe not wanting to get in at a level like that, even though it's essentially the same. You're just using a multiplier. But yeah, we're considering that, and either way you go, whether we do that or not, it doesn't really change the ratio of the tokens. And but no, the exact amount we haven't announced yet. We have we're still negotiating with potential partners behind the scenes, and all of that's going to affect allocations to some degree. So we haven't come out and finalized all of that and made any public announcements, but that'll be made obviously well before the crowd sale, so everybody's aware of the deal going into the crowd sale.
We're looking at almost 20 minutes here, so I don't want to cut you off too short, but if there's anything that you would like to wrap up on, this would be a perfect time to do so.
Sure. Yeah, I actually, if you don't mind, there was just one other question that was kind of another topic, and I'm not really sure what he was asking, but Fox asked, can you provide an update on decentralizing the witness nodes? I don't know if you're still there, Fox, or if you could maybe clarify what it was that you were asking about.
I'm assuming, are you talking about he says get others to produce blocks.
I'm still not sure what that means.
Get people outside of the testnet, essentially? Like opening it up to a bunch of people outside of the testnet? Is that what you're talking about, Fox? So essentially the live chain.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess I should have assumed that's what he was talking about.
It's best not to assume generally is what I've learned, buddy.
He had Ryan Fox actually I've spoken with him, or at least been in communication in terms of I think what we're going to try to do is some sort of witness boot camp, I think is what the idea we've been tossing around, and it may look like sort of a day where we can sort of announce anyone who wants to learn about becoming a witness, anyone maybe have sort of an AMA type session that witnesses can come on and get their questions answered, and for potential new witnesses, there's a lot of people out there that know how to run witness nodes already. I mean, I think between BitShares and Steam, there's at least a few hundred people that are capable of being witnesses right now, and I know a lot of them have inquired about becoming PeerPlays witnesses. So there's no shortage of people who can become witnesses, but naturally we want to yes, and play and muse. Yes, well, yes, of course. There are multiple depot chains out there. It's in terms of timelines, exactly when that's going to happen, I can't tell you yet. But that is something that we very much would like to do, and I think that anyone who has the desire to be involved with that and to help out, I think will have an opportunity to help lead the next generation of witnesses, as it were. Of course, we've talked about in the past that PeerPlays witnesses are going to be actually sort of a much more involved and in-depth job than the witnesses on BitShares or Steam or any of the other depot chains so far.
Are you proposing that you're going to discuss these details and kind of do a announcement of what the requirements are and get everybody kind of up to speed in preparation for launching the network?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Everything that we do is we always give a lot of lead time. As you guys have probably noticed, everything we've done so far, we'd like to we're very much into planning, and there will always be lead time. There will always be notification and opportunity for everyone to get everything in alignment and get their ducks in a row, so to speak. So there won't be don't worry about things just all of a sudden happening and everybody's scrambling. That's something we've always sought to avoid, and so it's just a matter of we're just finally at a stage now where we're going to start rolling out everything we've been working on, and once that starts happening, everyone will see the actual sort of enormous amount of momentum we've built up behind the scenes here now over the last few months. And naturally, when it comes time to move forward with the blockchain launch, everything will be organized and ready to roll out. And so at that stage, we'll talk about getting the witnesses lined up, and then having an opportunity for new witnesses to come in and learn about it, and have plenty of time for that. I do want to wrap up here, though. We're running over, so I just want to say thank you to everybody. And if you want to find out, learn more about the PeerPlays project, you can head to peerplays.com or peerplays.com/news. And also on Steemit, we have the PeerPlays handle. It's just @PeerPlays. If you want to follow that, you'll get all of our updates. And we also have a Rocket Chat channel, which is https://peerplays.chat. And you can go there and have some sort of live conversation with everybody. So great. Thanks again, guys. And we'll see you next week.
As always, thank you guys. And thank you to all of those who listen and share these, because this is something that we can get our voices out much more easily when we have a network of individuals who take just 1 second occasionally to share our content or to tell people about it. It generally doesn't take very long, and it's a great way to spread the word about all these projects, because we kind of need, if we're going to create this grassroots type of media movement, to have a grassroots type of backing as well. Because as we go and get bigger and all these graphene chains start being covered and more of them start popping up, there's going to be an enterprise level demand for this stuff. So it's always nice to have a balance between the two. So with that said, we are going to move on to BlockPay, and that's going to be Chris4210. He's going to be joining us to provide these updates. Chris4210, are you there?
Absolutely. Ready to go.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and step back and let you do what you do best, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining for this episode of the Beyond Bitcoin. And What we want to talk about in the BlockPay update session is we have a new technical update. It's very geeky stuff that we posted today. But I think one of the best news is that we are almost close to release the next version of the BlockPay app. So BlockPay is going to be back in the Google Play Store in the next couple of days. And I'm very excited about that because that means you finally can start again using it, showing it to people, showing it to fans, to stores, and so on. So that's going to be a day to celebrate after we had it down for a couple of weeks. Another thing, we are, of course, making good progress with all of the other applications, with the Smart Cons wallet, and also with BlockPay itself. Also, we have a couple of new updates for Stealth, but you can all see this kind of information in the forum post. So you can read all the technical and geeky information. I will just put up a link here in the channel, and then you can go to there. Another good news, we are getting ready basically for the big event in Mexico, Acapulco. I see a lot of people from the BitShares community, Bitcoiners, also a lot of BlockPay ambassadors going to join this event, and I'm really much looking forward to that. I think we're going to have at least 4 different ambassadors joining the event. And we are right now preparing to give them a couple of merchandise products. So they will have a big BlockPay t-shirt. They're maybe going to have a BlockPay hat and so on. So if you want to learn more about BlockPay and you are around, just reach out to them and talk to them. They are really, really nice people. And I think this event is going to be amazing because we're going to have Bitcoin and BlockPay all over the place. And remember the day we had Jeff Barwick here. He was joining us for one session, and he was very critical. Can I already use Bitcoin to pay in Mexico? Well, I think it's coming, and I really would love to see his face when we have BlockPay all over the event. So I'm very excited that we have so many people who are going there, and I'm looking forward to get a lot of cool pictures, and maybe we're going to get a couple of autographs from the big speakers as well. The next update I have, and that is I updated the website of blockpay.ch. And I added a couple of new subsites so that you can find all the information you need. And I would like to talk about that because I think that is also very important to get the right information. Let me just share with you all the links. So what I added, one of the first sites is we're going to have a new news site. So if you go to blockpay.ch/news, you'll find our latest articles. You can read what we are working on, where we are, our new partnerships that are coming up. So we're going to add them all over there. Another site we added is the roadmap. So for BlockPay, you now can see our roadmap under the section of the investor relations. So you can see what is planning, what is coming up, where are we standing, and what kind of new features we're going to integrate into the new versions. And another thing we added, because we had that issue a couple of weeks ago, is we are active on the BitShares blockchain. Among other blockchains, we are also active. And sometimes people are blocking or registering companies that are very similar to our official company accounts. So I created a list now with all official BlockPay accounts and BitShares Munich accounts. So if you're interacting with anybody and they're asking you to send money, or you get in contact with a suspicious address, you now can go to blockpay.ch and you will find a list of all official accounts that are under control, and we are using them to work and to make BlockPay happening. So if you ever in doubt, this is your resource to check if contacted with the right person. And the last page I added, I think that is also quite an interesting feature, is basically a website with known issues. So when you're downloading the new BlockPay version and you see that there are maybe some graphic bugs or some other bugs, or you're trying to get a quote for a currency where there is not enough liquidity in the market, then BlockPay will of course not work because we don't have the tokens in our accounts yet. So all these known issues will be listed there, and if you find it, you can check it there as well. And we will also check off all the issues that we fixed. And in this way, you're always up to date what we are working on, what are the problems that we already know, and then you don't have to submit them a second time, because that could be quite a lot of things that could come in over the time. And last but not least, our last update, this is something from Rodrigo. Rodrigo just came back from Latin America. He was home in Honduras, and he was giving a lot of speeches and events. He was meeting with a couple of bankers and big companies in his home country, Honduras. And he got a lot of really good feedback. People in Latin America, especially in Panama and Honduras, but also in Mexico, they are really, really interested in BlockPay, and they are looking forward to get started with that. We're talking with a lot of potential projects here, a lot of clients who want to get started, who want to integrate. So for us, Latin America is really one of the target markets. And we are also planning to have a couple of BlockPay presentations in one of the biggest technical universities in Mexico, together with Angie, one of our BlockPay ambassadors down there. She's going to do that. So we're going to have a lot of cool events coming up. And another thing that we are starting to do now, we are starting now our activities in Eastern Europe. We got a new BlockPay ambassador who's now in charge of Hungary, Czech Republic, all the way down to Croatia, who's managing all these different Eastern European countries, and will promote BlockPay there. We're also starting with ambassador activities in India and also in South Korea. So we joined a working group, the German-Korean blockchain working group, where we are exploring the opportunities and business opportunities, how you can apply blockchain in a business environment. And we just have a German delegation in South Korea right now who signed this research project, and we are part of that and providing our experience, our insights from BlockPay. And I'm very curious how the Bitcoin community is right now in Korea, if there's a lot of demand, and how they are seeing that. Especially, I got a good market update from China. China is really, really crazy, and that's going to be a hard cookie for BlockPay and also for Echo and so on. Because if you're going to a big city like Beijing, Shanghai, or Chongqing and the other cities, you will see one big thing. Nobody has a wallet anymore. Nobody's using cash, and nobody's using credit cards. So the Chinese society is already so far ahead that they all pay with their phones. So they just use Alipay and WeChat Pay, and that's the only thing. And these two payment providers are incredibly cheap. And it is really amazing to see how fast they are transitioning, basically, in this digital cashless society, where they don't wear any kind of plastic anymore. They don't take that out. And it's going to be very interesting to see how we can also work in the Chinese market, and how we can start out with BlockPay. And I think we have a lot of good ideas, especially with Echo and the encryption and privacy features. And that is our current update for now. If you have further questions, I'm always open. You can find us over social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook. We are also on Steemit. We are also going to start in other social media platforms. LinkedIn, we are publishing more articles. And we also are here in the Beyond Bitcoin radio show. And soon we're going to be in a couple of events. The next event for myself going to be the Blockchain Week in London. So if you are around end of January in London, 1 week, all about blockchain, I'm going to be on the panel with Jeremy Miller from Consensus, and we're going to talk about ICOs and crowdfunding. And it's going to be a very, very interesting panel, and I hope a very interesting week in London. And if you're around, looking forward to see you and take you out for a beer. Thank you.
Will you be paying for that beer at a BlockPay terminal?
Yeah, definitely. I will give him a lot of Bitcoins, and then they can pay.
Sounds good. Does anybody have any questions or comments? This is a perfect time to go ahead and do so. We have a few minutes for that.
I just want to say amazing what you're doing, man. Totally support it, and whatever I can do to get behind it, I definitely will.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, I think that we should get BlockPay at Acapulco, personally. And I think that we could try to... I'm supposed to talk to Heidi Travels today at around 2, whenever I'm done with all the Hangouts and stuff. And I think we could potentially get her to go down there, and we could prove Jeff Berwick wrong whenever he said BlockPay would end up at Acapulco, and we could have her interview him about it. Just, a fun little jab. But all jokes aside, we could have her go down there and potentially do something like that.
Yeah, we are talking to Heidi because she's interested to join the BlockPay Ambassador program.
Makes
I think
sense.
she's a very smart girl. I met her on the Steemit Fest, and it was really fun to talk to her. She's very curious because she's always on the road, and she would be a perfect ambassador for us, promoting BlockPay, promoting digital currencies, but also the Steemit and the BitShares platform. And yeah, why not? Maybe we can figure out a way that we can send her there. Another thing that is more like BitShares related. We are always looking at Amanda, who's now joining the Dash community and doing a lot of marketing for the Dash community. And it would be a very funny idea if you could get Heidi to do something similar for Steem and BitShares.
Actually, that's
and
what
be basically our girl. That we coach and we give her a lot of input, and then she's basically the marketing girl, the poster girl for us.
Well, actually, Chris, that's maybe you'll need to sit down with us at 2:00 because I was thinking similar, very much along those lines for all the different graphene chains where she would basically be a news anchor for Beyond Bitcoin, where she could cover graphene and all that stuff and also talk about and plug the various hangouts like for BitShares, for PeerPlays, for, the various chains that pop up that will have their own community hangouts. So we'll have to talk about that though on the side though.
Absolutely, well, that would be cool because yeah, she's doing a lot of videos right now, a lot of explanation videos about witnesses and digital currencies and so on.
You can tell she's starting to get interested.
Oh yeah, she's hooked already.
It's so perfect, man, because we're starting to see, and a lot of people don't realize, but you have been here for a long time. Ken has been here for a long time. A lot of the people who've helped you guys along have been here for a long time, working hard. And, in those early days, you really don't see the fruits of your labors. That's the hard time when you're planting all the seeds and then you start watching them sprout. And it's kind of interesting to watch that this is starting to happen now. And BlockPay is going to be one of the premier apps to use for pretty much anybody who wants to spend cryptocurrency like a credit card would.
Absolutely. I think we really have to be thankful for the Beyond Bitcoin radio shows that we can always talk, we can exchange our ideas, and absolutely have to agree also with PeerPlays and Crypto Prometheus. 2017 is going to be a very, very exciting year for graphene-based technologies and chains. With a lot of different launches, with a lot of different products coming up. And we are starting to push in the market with all our ideas and stuff. And it's going to be a very, very exciting year. I'm very looking forward to 2017. It's going to be a great year.
Let's get Heidi to help us prove Mr. Berwick wrong. Now, we're running over just a little bit. Would you be able to let anybody know, is there anything that you'd like to wrap up with, maybe some contact information, etc.?
Well, for now, I think we covered most of the updates. As always, we're going to keep you up to date every Friday here on the Mumble, but also in the forum. We give out our developer updates. I also sent out the BlockPay tokens to all the contest winners of the Christmas contest from BlockPay, and I'm preparing all the t-shirts. So we're going to have that ready as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward for the next couple of weeks and months. We are planning all the different events where we're going to be on stage, where we're going to have a partnership. And we're going to be really, really big, and BitShare is going to be basically all over the world. It's going to be a lot of fun.
How can people buy BlockPay tokens?
You can easily buy them on openledger.info. So with the new interface, it's also very easy to deposit Bitcoin or other altcoins inside the exchange. And then you can easily look for BlockPay and buy them there.
And if they are, let's say, a little bit fearful of using centralized services, they also have the opportunity and the option, because of BitShares, to have the client on their own server or on their own computer. So if you are one of those people who doesn't like to necessarily have to trust another service outside of yourself, you can actually download your own client. But OpenLedger is also is an awesome place for multiple things that they actually add a lot of value in addition to the wallet. So thank you very much. Let's go ahead, and is there anything that somebody that people wish that I would have covered or that I missed before I move on?
A real minor question for you, Chris, is I downloaded the BlockPay wallet, probably about 3 weeks ago, and was kind of surprised that the logo for it was not the BlockPay logo that I see plastered everywhere else. Is that going to change in the next version? Very minor point here.
Which app did you download?
The BlockPay.
Yeah, that should be the same logo. I don't know. Maybe that changed. I will take a look at that.
Yeah, because it was the only wallet that was produced by BitShares Munich, so I'm pretty sure it's the right one. But the logo was totally different.
Do you think it was a BitShares logo?
Yes.
Then you probably got the wrong application, because we have 3 applications in the Google Play Store. We have the Smartcoins wallet, BlockPay S, and we have the BitShares mobile wallet. And only the Smartcoins wallet and the BlockPay S app are maintained and developed. The BitShares wallet is not active anymore.
All right, very good. Thank you. I'll put different search terms in, but I just used BlockPay, and that's what it came up with. Thanks.
All right.
You will find BlockPay again once we uploaded it, and then it's going to be in the different app stores available.
Well, thank you very much for the update, Chris. I want to remind everybody, please, to support these projects, especially if they post updates to Steemit or something like that, where you can just quickly upvote. It's not very much time and effort to be able to do that, and then maybe share it to social media. Also, please support krnel, KRNEL, who likes to cut these Hangouts up and actually post them individually. This is a great opportunity for the people who are guest speakers to just push out their own specific segment without having to have people listen and find their segment. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to jianjolly, and he is joining us to talk a little bit about his project today, which is called BitKapital, correct?
Yeah, we read it BitKapital.
BitKapital.
Capital, yes.
Okay, I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
It's okay. It's fine to call it BitKapital.
Well, I'm going to try to do it the way that you guys do it. So, when in Rome, you know what I mean? So why don't I go ahead and step back, though, and let you step up and give a little bit of an idea of... Oh, hold on a second here. Give a little bit of an idea of what BitKapital is, because a lot of people have no clue, have never touched it, have never seen it, haven't talked about it in Telegram with you guys, haven't looked on BitShares Talk. A lot of the people who are listening this is going to be the first time they hear it. So if you could give a little bit of an introduction, maybe a little bit of the history of how you got into it, and then we can maybe answer some questions from the community, or do whatever you would like to do after that. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you now.
Hello, everyone. My name is jianjolly. I'm the managing director of BitKapital Trading Limited. And first of all, I'd like to tender my thanks to you for having me here. Today, I'm going to talk about what we have been doing in the cryptocurrency ecosystem in relation to BitKapital and surrounding enterprises. But before that, let me first introduce myself. I'm a computational physicist by education, specializing in coding numerical methods to simulate mechanical properties of subatomic particles. After graduating, I took a different path than physics, and since then, I've been continuing my academic studies in philosophy, currently enrolled in a PhD program where I study philosophy of law, also being a research assistant. Apart from that, I'm an independent professional investor in the Nasdaq equity market, and by professional investor, I didn't mean the USA classification of professional investor. I only mean that more than half of my income has continuously been generated by the investment activities. Finally, as a separate entity, BitKapital, I'm the Chief Business Development Officer at the blockchain brokerage, maybe you have heard of it, which recently got $1.5 million in the seed round of funding. I hope that all my endeavors will collectively make our ecosystem a better place, which has been my ideal since I met Bitcoin, actually. I met Bitcoin when it was not worth $1, that is back in 2011, but I haven't been actively involved in the ecosystem until 2013, in which year I was trying hard to convince some developers of the decentralized exchange where people may trade assets against other assets defined on blockchain. Because it was obvious to me that this would serve as the basis of a tremendously efficient use cases of blockchain in financial applications. Okay, Fast forward to 2016, where we got two major cryptocurrency centers in Turkey. The first one was the sole operative exchange, BTC Turk, and the other one is the news and research portal, or let me put it this way, the CoinDesk of Turkey. But think of it like a CoinDesk doesn't have any competitors. Its name is CoinTurk. And since the sole exchange of Turkey got shut down because of some unknown reason, CoinTurk's members, together with me, launched BitKapital to fill the gap. Fortunately, our vision is not only about filling this, but we also urge to take the Turkish cryptocurrency ecosystem forward. This is why we have chosen to interest ourselves with BitShares, which already has a working decentralized exchange. So now, with CoinTurk's existing services, our main holding company has 4 different projects going on. First one is the news portal, which I just told about. The second one is the consultancy service, where we begin to see some institutional interest in blockchain technology as well. So our aim with that Bitcoin Adam, which is the consultancy service, our goal is, if technology will ever have a use case in traditional financial applications, it should be our consultancy service, which provides institutional grade support for electronic money businesses, brokerage firms, and etc. And by consultancy, I mean both technological and legal consultancy, because indeed we do have a dedicated legal team to work on these issues. The third one is BitKapital, which is utterly a very simple business. I can even summarize it in just one sentence. That is, BitKapital is a next generation cryptocurrency exchange. Yet at the same time, BitKapital offers an investment fund solution, which brings me to the fourth project, Cryptomerian. Cryptomerian works just as a normal hedge fund, which pools, actually a mutual fund, which pools funds from investors by selling Cryptomerian shares. The pooled fund is managed by Professor Güvenç Koçkaya, who is a health economist specialized in pharmaceutical and medical investments. There are also traders working under him to make profit from short-term speculative positions. The fund is active since 6 months ago, and the net asset value is around 110 bitcoins. If you check the performance of the fund, you'll see that it yields a monthly 4% net profit in bitcoins. 4%, not the gross profit, it's 4% after the management fee and the performance fee is cut off. And it's fairly easy to sign up and deposit funds. I recommend you to check cryptomerian.com for more information on that. Now let me focus on some of the environmental factors that are relevant to the business that BitKapital undertakes. The Turkish cryptocurrency market size is estimated to be potentially as high as $100 million. There are 2 places where people are able to buy and sell bitcoins. One is BitKapital and the other one is krnel. We consider our own service as inherently superior to the alternative one because of several reasons. First, we are not a centralized exchange. Second, we are located in northern Cyprus, which gives us a better regulatory climate. Domiciled in Turkey, the other cryptocurrency exchange is under heavy regulatory pressure, which is why they no longer accept new clients. Still, it doesn't mean that we will just wait new clients to choose us just because we are the only possibility for them. In that regard, we would like to make developments in order to improve user experience. I can say that we are currently solely focused on the user experience aspect and not hardcore technology. As for joining on venture, we have an asset, a user-issued asset that trades on decentralized exchange. You may have seen it. It's called BKT tokens. Each of those tokens represent 1 share in BitKapital's equity, where there are 1 million of those shares. Let me note here that there are a little bit more than 120,000 BKT tokens, which make up a total around 12% of the business. So not all of the business is tokenized. So those tokens are legally constructed as phantom shares, or you may also call it stock appreciation rights, but there is no publicly available contract because of 2 reasons. First, we are already doing a sensitive business since we touch bitcoins, and we don't want to go through extra regulatory exposure by offering share-like tokens to public. Although we are located in northern Cyprus, we are working with Turkish banks, and Turkey is a place where your bank account could get blocked for apparently no reason. That's why we are extremely cautious with everything we publicly announce, even though what we do is regulatory compliant in theory. Second reason we don't publish a contract is that we have already sold all the tokens in our ICO, and we're not focused on increasing the volume of those BKT tokens, or all our ICO participants already got a contract. So it's most probably that we won't publish it until we go for a new funding round. So all in all, our entire operations may be summarized in this way. We are looking in two directions. First one is today, and the second one is the future. For today, we satisfy the current demand of Turkish cryptocurrency users. And that demand is almost purely focused on buying and selling Bitcoin and getting information about buying and selling Bitcoin, and also about mining. For the future, since we believe that blockchain technology has a considerable potential for the future of finance, we deem it necessary to focus on finding ways to developing the technology and to find out business solutions. That's pretty much all I have to say for now. Thank you very much for your hospitality. If you have any questions regarding BitKapital, CryptoMarion, or the blockchain brokerage as well, I'm happy to answer.
Well, I'll first off say that is a lot of stuff to talk about. You guys are definitely working. Hold on real quick here. You're definitely working on a lot of different projects that are synergistic to one another, it seems like. Now, BitKapital, what exactly are you guys going to be focusing on early on for an investor who is interested in participating? And secondly, I'm assuming you've already finished your ICO, and if that's the case, where do you get these tokens?
It was on Bitcoin's blockchain. You couldn't transfer those tokens on Colo. They're currently also defined in Colo, but we transferred all those rights associated with those Colo tokens into BitShares tokens. And BitShares currently serves as the secondary market because we don't sell any further coins.
So the initial ICO was done using colored coins. Now, could you go a little bit into a little bit of depth into the evolution and why the choices were made that you guys made? And I'm going to go ahead and there you go.
Actually, it was planned. BitKapital was not planned to work on BitShares. Interestingly, it was planned on Waves, which is still currently under development and which lacks a decentralized exchange. But we were hoping that they would come up with a solution as early as December. But they were not ready, so we moved on researching different fields that we can achieve our goals. And then we found out BitShares. Well, actually, I knew BitShares since beginning. I got some forum posts back in 2013
Ooh, wow, that's very early, man.
Yeah.
That's the very early days.
Yeah, it's very early days when it was BitShares 1.0,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that might have been during the
trying,
PTS days, right before when BitShares X was in existence.
Well, there was token trading, but it was only for BitShares tokens back and forth.
Yeah. Well, what is your account name on there? So, just in case people might want to check it out.
This was the one.
Najska.
Which also existed in Najska.
So Najska for those who are listening. I just want to.
I'm gonna go and check
because,
it as well.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to see where I kind of focus on what the progression and the history, like why you've made the decisions, and kind of lets you tell that story.
Well, the first hurdle we face with BitShares is that it's user experience. Since we are basically a profit-seeking company, what we most care about is user experience, and that's why we didn't want to touch BitShares at all, actually, to begin with. And I didn't even know that BitShares 2 got a lot of opportunities as we have now. You got whitelisting, you got blacklisting, everything. If we had decided to wait for Waves to bring us with a solution that has the same capabilities as BitShares has now, maybe we would need to wait for like 1 year or so.
Now, are there any things that you would like to see that things like BitShares offer? Would you like to see added to BitShares to make this a little bit better experience?
Yes, actually, I told it to on Telegram channel as well. An additional flag would be really nice, a flag on assets which prohibits transfer of tokens but still allows trading. because those are basically two different, very different things when considered from a legal perspective. But from technical perspective, an exchange is just a combination of two different transfers. But from legal perspective, one requires a different license and the other one requires something other.
Oh, that's really cool. So the actual passing of tokens can be separated legally from the act of trading tokens or facilitating trading.
Exactly. And we are regulated brokers. We don't have the license because Northern Cyprus doesn't have the license. All you have to do is to register your company by in a way that to allow you for brokerage business, and that is what we did. But still, that brokerage business doesn't allow us to facilitate money transfers. And if you consider those Turkish lira tokens as money, it may bring us some regulatory hurdles when we have that transfer feature.
That's very interesting. And have you guys considered how you might go about getting this added, or have you guys considered maybe a worker proposal to add it yourselves or any of that?
Well, actually, I don't know much about worker proposals. You always talk about those proposals, voting for them and such, and I'm just a visitor on that discussions. And
Sure.
Obviously, if that's the way, we can prepare something in the form of a worker proposal. Or we can externally fund it as well, if that's the case. I mean, I know that there are some handicaps in doing so because of the inherent faults of democracy. And if that is not the case with democracy, we can fund it externally and get it there.
Well, one of the first steps would to have a forum post about that idea and about the feature, and then I can also add it to the current roadmap, and then we can see how urgent that idea and that feature is, and then we can develop it.
Yes, sure. I know the list, the 2017 roadmap, and I'll definitely add that to the list. But currently, the way we prevent this is just to take off the transfer button from the wallet that we have.
Now, is this, and real quick, is this wallet going to be, is it going to be its own standalone wallet that you guys have created, separate of the open source one that was created by SVK, or is this going to be a modified version of that? How are you guys handling the front end with regard to that?
This is the address. It's a web wallet because we first tried it as a standalone wallet, but it caused some problems in Windows 7 users, so we couldn't do it somehow. It's just a little bit altered version of the standard web wallet.
Got you. So this is a website that people can go to, and they can create an account in the area where I'm assuming it's going to be very helpful for people, demographics in the areas that you're talking about, because of the different kind of the different legal aspects, because this is a worldwide ecosystem that BitShares can provide, and you guys are actually able to provide services to people who need these services in specific ways, and you have kind of a roadmap to get there. So it's kind of interested to see a little bit more about that, but we are going a little bit over. I don't want to, I probably won't ask too many more questions here, but I will say, I'll ask one question from G Chicken. You are referring to a lot of users week on week, 100 to 160 per week. Which platform are a majority of users signing up to?
This one, let me rewrite it. Cüzdan.bitkapital.com. It's this one they get through. It's just a standard sign-up process. And don't forget, there is a flag with which you can turn the language into English. It's at the right top corner.
Okay. It looks like you can go through multiple languages, right?
Yeah, there's only Turkish and English because we didn't want any more confusion. We don't have any Chinese speakers in Turkey.
Okay. I'm seeing something different then. Well, thank you very much. We will go into this a little bit more. Feel free to join up with us for future Hangouts. I would love to dig into this and hear a little bit more about your story and the story of what you guys are doing along this path, because it's cool to see other people seeing the opportunities that we've kind of been waiting for people to see for a long time, right? it's cool to see that you guys are taking the bull by the horns. You see the technology, you're using it. There's always going to be bumps in the road. I like to try to get a little bit of that story into these Hangouts, and also give you guys the opportunity to get some support from people who attend and listen to these Hangouts. Because let's face it, if you are here or you're listening, you're a cryptocurrency nerd, you're a blockchain nerd, and there's nothing really that you can do about it. So you might as well continue helping and supporting the things that you believe in, that we believe is going to really create a new paradigm of transparency and empowerment for the individuals and the institutions that they rely on. So I just want to plug that and say real quick, is there any way that people can reach out to you if they would like to know more or help you? I'll go ahead and I'll step back and let you answer that question, and then we can go ahead and move on with the end of the segment.
Yeah, okay. First of all, that's pretty much appreciated, and I'd like to talk further on that issue in the next Hangouts if possible. Let me write you my email address where you can reach me easily. I'm also pretty active in BitShare's Telegram. If you come there, you'll see me with the nickname jianjolly.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you too.
Now, we'll get you set up after this Hangout with the push to talk button, which you're going to love. And it's going to make your Hangouts sound even better. So I will say thank you for joining up. We will go ahead and we'll talk to you behind the scenes. I would like to talk to you behind the scenes a little bit as well. And feel free to join up anytime with any updates, or if you ever have questions for the community who have been here with their faces in BitShare's technology and graphene technology and the concept of decentralized autonomous corporations and companies and communities for, nearly as long as altcoins have existed. To a large degree, we've been all kind of thinking in these ways for a while. So if you want or are interested in that, we do as a community offer a lot of value. And for those of you who are listening, I would urge you to try to find a way of joining up as well, because if you're listening, you are somebody who has spent a lot of time talking and thinking about these problems as well. And the more of these intelligent, thoughtful problem solvers join up in these Hangouts, the more valuable they become for all of us. So thank you very much. And we are going to go ahead and we're going to move on to Apptrade. Apptrade, are you here?
I'm here. How are you?
Sounding good, man. Sounding good. Perfect crisp tone on that microphone.
Thanks.
I picture you with a golden mic. Is it gold?
No, it's diamond and crested.
Well, you know what? I can't do anything about that, so I'm just going to step back with my normal mic, and I'm going to let your diamonds shine.
Cool. I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for having us on here. This is my first time on the Beyond Bitcoin. Fuzzy, I've been listening here and there on some of these talks, and I've just been really thrilled. I think now's the appropriate time to actually come out with an announcement with what we're doing with the Apptrade. And I guess there's many different ways I can go into it, but I'll just go into the traditional pitch that I always give, and then it's more of a cosmetic at the surface level, and then maybe we can dig deep with an FAQ. Usually works better on my end that way.
Beautiful.
Cool. So essentially, Apptrade, we are branding it as a stock market of apps, not to be mistaken with anything associated with debt equities or security equities. We're dealing in being able to use the token market and to back a token using raw cash flow and raw products. And the way that we had this back in 2010, my background is making apps. I went to school for video game design, and I had an app back in 2010 that was not a video game, but it was more of a finance related app, and I thought it was going to make me a millionaire, right? And long story short, I'm not a millionaire, and our lesson really began 3 days after launch. We launched the app, and then on the first week, we started realizing that reality was setting in. And that forced us to kind of go back to the drawing table to asked this question, what makes an app go viral? And I've made a personal promise to myself that I was not going to release another app until I figured that out. So that's when we went on this journey to do some research in marketing. And we stumbled upon something that really changed the course of everything, and it really changed my life. It's really fascinating. There's source code marketplaces out there where independent developers are buying and selling source code from each other, similar to how real estate investors buy and sell homes. You can take a source code that has some data behind it, but maybe the publisher didn't have the extra resources to market it. So they hand it on over to someone else that would buy them out. But then that second developer, they would, let's say, reskin it. They wouldn't do anything to the source code. They would just make some cosmetic changes, maybe rebrand it. They would release it on the iTunes ecosystem, collect some data, and then they would relist it back on the original marketplace where they purchased the app from. But usually they did this at a markup. And some of the acquisitions, they weren't making any sense. You would have some folks that were very little download data selling their apps for like tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we started thinking, what's going on here, right? Why are these apps with no traction behind them selling so much? And we kind of discovered there's a few app developers that had bundled. They were bundling their apps into these portfolios, and that's how they were able to sell them. We noticed that the ones that were doing this were selling massive amounts of volume, but it was who they were selling it to that was really shocking and really surprising. Apparently Disney, Sony, Electronic Arts, they shop these source code marketplaces because they don't have the time. They don't have the time to build this stuff from scratch, right? And reskinning an app is costs 1/10 the cost of original development, and they can easily buy out these properties. But then we started discovering that hedge funds were hanging out on here too, and a few developers were selling their catalogs to these hedge funds. And it was just a really fascinating world. And the light bulb kind of went off when we started looking at the just the general marketing ecosystem of marketing. I guess you can say digital distribution, whether it's web affiliates or cross-marketing platforms where you can trade traffic with another developer. Rarely will you see someone that has 100,000 downloads, let's say a month, trading traffic with someone that has like no downloads, right? And we don't blame them. It's quite Darwinian. They only cater to the top 1% of the publishers on these platforms. And the same thing for the investors, right? It's very risky to invest in one project at a time. I have personally known some investors in the space that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars just to see apps with $25 a month returns. And that's not just for app projects, that's for any project, right? It's very risky. So we started asking ourselves, what would happen if we started bundling these things, not just to sell them off, but as a distributional hub? And that's really when the light bulb started clicking for us. And that's when this idea was born of having an app portfolio marketplace. That way the investor gets to diversify their risk across a group of ideas without owning any of the ideas. They just get to test drive their investments, so to speak. The publishers, they love this because not only do they get access to some of that funding that we split among them, but they get the cross marketing by linking those apps together. They had a higher chance of, let's say, going viral or being exposed when they can cross market with like a group of up to 100 apps, so to speak.
It's almost like the bundling that operating systems like Windows will provide for different manufacturers even. And there's a marketplace for the source code, which actually makes it so there's a job to actually go out there and look at the source code and say, wow, this is amazing work, or this is amateur. And the top code was going to kind of float to the top in this free market that gives us a visualization, an actual visualization of the value and the consensus of that code, which is kind of what cryptocurrency in a way does too, right? But it's very interesting how you guys are marrying the two concepts together. I could definitely say that.
Yeah, and that's something that really drew us to, because when we first started this, we were not thinking about cryptocurrency. And you do bring up a really strong point about how most of the brand extensions that major publishers have are usually in-house. They can only accomplish this stuff in-house. But we're putting forward this idea that we could possibly build these catalogs faster than any major
An entire
AAA.
market.
Correct, because we're not building anything. Sure, we have our own apps as an example, like a few, maybe like 8 or so in-house apps that we'll throw into the bundles just to lead this thing by example. But the majority of these is going to be an aggregation of other publishers, essentially strangers that otherwise don't really know each other, coming together to compete together using a public dashboard that they'll be able to log into, and everyone can see everyone's activity. And that wasn't there in play. There was no real world medium for us to transfer our business model onto, especially when you're getting into the territory of regulation. And not only that, but just flat out trust, right? How do you get a group of people that don't know each other to trust each other to make sure that each of them contribute a portion of their payments into a pool, essentially a shared digital bond or a digital escrow, and then to make sure that everyone did their part without us giving them the money and then them running off and disappearing, right? We needed to find a way to kind of hold that in place. We were kind of crazy to think that we could pull this off with promissory notes, having everybody sign a promissory note that they would commit, and then it would take on more of an account receivable model where we're pulling account receivables. But that didn't really work from a theoretical standpoint and from a regulatory standpoint for being to take care. It took care of the securement of the payment, but it didn't take care of the securement of the trust. And that's the part that was really missing for us.
So is this going to be, how is this going to interact with the blockchain, and is it going to be a blockchain of its own? Is it going to be using blockchain technology of some? Can you dig into that for us a little bit?
Sure. So when we moved on from promissory notes, we learned about a new form of entity that Congress passed in 2007 called the Series LLC, similar to what we all know as an LLC, a traditional model, but the difference was you can create these extra cells underneath the main holdings firm. And with each cell, we were thinking, let's make a portfolio each its own cell, right? It would have its own tax structure, it would have its own board. But there was a problem. The people that were consulting us, they were real estate investors, and they did this for their real estate inventory. But the problem that they were having is the moment that you stuck one extra investor into one of those subsidiary cells, it becomes a security, and then it comes with all sorts of regulatory exposure that we were not prepared for, especially when we're in the theoretical phase, right? Because this is all theory up until that point. So then I get a phone call in, let's say late 2014, early 2015, from a friend that says, "Hey, take a look at Bitcoin and what they're doing." So then we decided to shift our focus and look into that a little bit. And I started to, like everyone else, we kind of looked at it and didn't understand it at first. It was very shallow assumptions that we were making, the same shallow assumptions that many people make in the space, not in the space, but outside the space looking in. But then once you started looking at how these transactions were being secured and understanding the distributed nature of how trust among strangers was being secured, and that's exactly what we were really interested in. But by that time, we were looking into colored coins and Kalu, I think it's called Kalu.au. They were doing something interesting with their colored coins. But then once we started thinking about the investor's perspective, if we were going to really bring this to institutions as a place for the community to store their wealth, we couldn't piggyback on Bitcoin due to its volatility, even though they were shaving off, using small fragments of Bitcoin to piggyback on their network, it still didn't seem feasible long term for us to secure. I mean, tens of millions of dollars on the Bitcoin blockchain, and also the way that any miner can come in and just plug in. When we started thinking about people like ISIS or some other. At that time, late 15, there was still that stigma from Silk Road in the media, and it wasn't something we didn't balk at it, but a lot of the people that were around us were kind of balking at it. So
and it's some serious stuff if the herd goes that way.
It is, and sometimes though, it just takes one from that herd to shift gears and to be able to move, especially if you plant the flag strongly in the ground, as what we feel that we're going to do now. Because now that we moved on from understanding the proof of works and how that works, just full disclosure, I'm not the blockchain expert, and here we do have others on our team that are well versed. But what I do know so far is that the regulation here in the United States is ironclad. It's pretty clear. We're looking at the Bank Secrecy Act, the Security and Exchange Act, and we're just going through the full gamut, even down to the Basel III requirements, and understanding that, wow, we don't have to store personal data and we don't need credit cards, right? Because we're not dealing with personal information, nor are we dealing with credit card information. And we're not dealing with a debt security because we're not asking of any equity from anyone that wants to, let's say, do fundraising through our platform. And we're not asking for any debts or any promise to pay. It's literally aggregating cash flow from products. And just to be very clear, these are not portfolios of companies. These are portfolios of raw digital goods. We use the term app because it's sexy. Everyone gets what it is. But
It's
when
like
we
a
say
little
app,
bundled box.
Exactly. We're using MP3s, ebooks, digital goods, anything that's experienced from an intangible medium, mobile device. We're looking at virtual reality. We're looking at so many different amazing platforms that now. Maybe I'm jumping ahead, so let me back up to how we got into BitShares. This is really interesting. So we're looking at Ether and their smart contract solutions, and understand that we were able to launch you can technically launch your own bank on Ethereum. But I started understanding that Ethereum was kind of it was just a la carte. It was open-ended. They leave the definitions up to the creators. What we're noticing with BitShares, though, is that the definitions are well communicated up front. This is financial-based products. You can do anything within that context. And because of that, Dan Larimer, from the very beginning, from the white paper, from when I read it, I started noticing that they have these permissions built in.
Yes.
They're not like suggestions. They're in there.
It was intentionally there for a reason. Yeah.
Exactly. And he's American, just like me. I'm from Los Angeles. We're based out of Los Angeles, and it's just a gold mine of opportunity out here because this is the epicenter where there's so many filmmakers, so many app developers. Everyone's from the film industries migrating to the game industries. We have Google down the street. YouTube's right next door to us. We're right in the heart of Playa Vista, where many of these new companies, Electronic Arts, they're just right there. And we started thinking, let's look a little bit closer at BitShares. So I started harassing some of the folks on the on the chat board back in let's say early February or March 2015, and I was asking these questions because we behind the scenes we were already moving on this stuff. We were already getting offers for investments on a napkin pitch, alone, getting ridiculous offers on just doodles on a napkin. It's as cliche as that sounds. It really does happen, and it's very real. These are people here in Southern California, the kind of investors out here. These are people that are essentially throwing $100 million at piles of paper called screens. So that gives you an idea of their risk appetite, right? But we still didn't want to, move forward until we figured out the full regulatory landscape for this stuff. So we brought it to some securities attorneys, but it's kind of interesting when you start realizing you know a little bit more than the people that are trying to counsel you. And after like the fifth or the eighth attorney that we asked, do you know what a smart contract is? And not a single one knew what a smart contract was, and that was really eye-opening. That's when we really realized we have something here, and that there's something really special about the BitShares DEX. And the way that we see it is, it's really the backup economy. In our eyes, that's how we define it. If the main economy went to crap, there would be something that
there's a bridge.
Exactly. And so we decided to start asking some questions because we were getting some interest over here. Just some very, I guess you can say, blockchain-based technical stuff that I couldn't really wrap my head around at that moment. So we were hitting up the BitShares forum with these questions, and one sole voice came out of that group that said, "Hey, I might you're asking some very poignant questions here. Maybe we can get some answers for you." And lo and behold, I get on Skype with this individual, and it's Ronnie. He's showing me and telling me that there's folks in LA that we can consult with. But then when I started asking Ronnie from Open Ledger about, what are the pain points that I guess the entire BitShares community is experiencing, and it seems to be a PR issue, because as far as I'm looking at it, and what we're hearing from some of our tech consultants, is that it's a superior platform, and Graphene and what you guys have done, what the BitShares community has done, is just really, it's a sleeper. It really is. It's being overlooked, and it's like a diamond in a rough.
It's funny because we're seeing this trend. The people who are here, especially every week, they feel it, because you can see as people start recognizing what Dan was doing and what the people who are helping Dan and their team were doing this entire time, and the community saw it. And a lot, the hardest thing is sometimes seeing that diamond in the rough when no one else realizes it's a diamond. You know what I mean? But it's because it was so ahead of its time, really, and we're here for history. And one of what I'm seeing, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that this is another way of using this decentralized exchange to offer a completely new and a new market for things that really haven't even been available prior to blockchain technology, and might not have been able to be available on, in the trustless or close to trustless way that it can exist right now.
Totally. And one thing that we saw in this space, though, is that we're noticing that everyone's trying, well, not everyone, a good chunk of folks that come to these blockchain community projects, and they're kicking tires, folks that have never been exposed to this, they have this knee-jerk reaction to want to upload our bad habits back onto the blockchain. For instance, you're looking at banks trying to create their own private blockchains, and I'm thinking, what are you guys going to do? Upload your fractional reserving onto the blockchain? Are you going to upload your late fees as well? I don't see how that's going to work. Purpose of we're under the impression that the blockchain's use is more than for what we're used to, right? Why are we going to do a traditional crowdfund when we can upload new business models? And I think that's what it represents, this idea of funding a group of projects without getting any ownership from them, but just having them pledge for 1 or 2 year contracts a portion of their earnings from their project, and have them display some of their data. And we can pull that off because we're looking into either using something proprietary or just going off of App Annie Analytics or Flurry Analytics that's already embedded inside the apps. So those are real numbers that you're going to be seeing from the Apple and Google servers when you're looking at Apptrade dashboard. That way people know that they're not manipulating that data. And we have these service agreements as well that we're going to have on attached to ensure that everyone does play ball, so to speak. And when I mean by uploading our bad habits, I mean like doing debt, selling equity shares, the way that you would do with term sheets. It seems kind of redundant to do it on a blockchain when you can do other things like what we're proposing. And this model, we're all familiar with.
Let me go ahead and stop you right there, because I'm reading a lot in the chat about what you're doing with the ICO, and this is kind of a perfect segue. What you're saying right here is they're talking about here how many tokens will be distributed for Apptrade. The answer in the chat was 100 million initial pre-sale tokens, but there would be a total of 1 billion. And they talk a little bit about the revenues and dividends. Could we dig into that for like maybe 3 or 4 minutes? And then, of course, you can, join us anytime to continue this conversation. Every Friday we do this. But I do want to kind of get to that so we can get some of these really important questions answered for your funding and for helping this project out.
That's fair.
I mean, this place is dangerous because we're all computer and cryptocurrency nerds and blockchain nerds, so we can literally talk about this forever. But I do want to kind of boil it down into that for the moment, and then of course we can move forward, into the after party and elsewhere.
Sure. This preface is extremely important because when we're looking at this option for the token crowdfunding via the tokens, we didn't look at it as hey, there's some money over here in the Bitcoin community, let's go grab it. It's actually the converse. We decided to indoctrinate the current people that are looking at us, because we see it as just such a clean way to start a relationship, and also a very open and trustworthy way to facilitate that dynamic between us and our investors. And if anything, blockchain, being able to have your token sale gives you some form of leverage over existing investors in the real world.
Yes.
Because you can't argue with a vending machine. Once you put up your valuation
well studied,
and you have your options, that's the options they have. If they don't, then they have to agree with their private equity valuation, which is, we agree, it's kind of astronomical. We're not using our token market cap as our company's market cap. I have to make that extremely clear. And the second thing is, we're not marketing this to the cryptocurrency community. If anyone has the risk appetite to entertain and indulge that valuation, then by all means, for sure, hop on board. But we have people, and I can't say the specific names because this stuff hasn't been secured in writing, but we're hearing 5 million, 15 million, $20 million offers, and these folks are offering us not on the basis of equity. They're asking for proceeds. One deal, they're asking for 64% of our proceeds, and that's just that's kind of crazy. We're not going to give up 64% of our proceeds as of our future earnings, but that's kind of the example of where that comes from. That's
just from something written on a napkin, essentially, compared to an MVP.
Oh, well, we've moved way beyond a napkin. We actually have an MVP. But it's just the front end that we're going to build on top of the. We're going to use Open Ledger's blockchain. We're going to probably have to create our own wallet, but it's safe to say that we're just going to use a very reduced version of what you're going to see. It's going to look kind of like Open Ledger, but without the ability to trade your tokens or anything. It's going to be a sell-only site or a sell and buy-only site. And you have to do all your trading, and you have to do all your transfers and everything on Open Ledger. Mm-hmm.
That's
Correct. Because
cool.
Open Ledger is the vision that we've been looking for, and it seems like Dan Larimer, he just really put it into really, and then with what with what Ronnie is doing
Yes.
is amazing. Like the way that he's securing the relationships and the way that he's really saw the vision. Because we want to make it easier for the average entrepreneur to launch an ICO. And I think someone said this earlier in the BitShares talk, and I was going to jump in, but I think now is appropriate time to say it should be as easy to launch a Kickstarter campaign, an ICO, as easy as it is to launch a Kickstarter campaign. But the type of a token that each portfolio is going to offer, that's going to be different. We're going to what we want to do is standardize a particular token with these permissions already set up so that they're not optional. And we want to have a standard that is essentially, we're going to franchise a particular setup so that anyone that comes to Apptrade and want to launch a portfolio, what we call a federated public offering, they should have a one button push request, and then us as administrators will either approve or disapprove of that based upon what they have in their portfolios. So we're not trying to find the perfect decentralization. We're not concerned with debates about whether we're too transparent or how transparent we are, because frankly our target users don't care. They don't know what a vector calculus is or a hash rate. They just care about getting income from apps, and the apps only care about cross marketing. So with all that said, now I can address any questions that anyone has about the tokens. And you're correct. It is $100 million for the first year, with $1 billion total. Our goal is to raise over $150 million in about 5 years, but starting with about $5 million this year.
So that was correct, what was stated in the chat.
That's correct.
And you guys have essentially created a completely new way of using a DEX that is attached to BitShares. I'm sure the economics and the efficiency of BitShares and what's available for that makes it just very appealing for what you guys are wanting to do. And I'm sure that there are other opportunities for other kinds of DEXs and exchanges and and marketplaces for other types of things that could use BitShares as the back end. I guess my question here is going to come from Brindle Swan, and he says, "Are you using the code of PeerPlays to develop to have PeerPlays developed to have a token pay out shares of profit?"
I'm not sure if I understand that question. Are we using PeerPlays as a token?
How are you? I would say, how are you guys going to be passing out fees in return? Because what I was reading was that people were saying that there is going to be some way of receiving fees back from these tokens from the actual service itself.
Oh, great. Sure. So the master token, which is the APPX token, which is the part of the crowd sale, we call it the wholesale crowd sale, because every app every app portfolio thereafter is going to have their own token market. So each portfolio is issuing their own customized token, but their tokens are backed by the collective revenue of the apps inside that portfolio, whereas our master token is backed by 10% of the total revenues from the platform. So each portfolio has to set aside 10% of its total earnings.
It's almost like a 10% share drop. Okay. That's
actually, that's well said. That would be probably the closest way of being able to describe it: a share drop or a dividend, a token drop to be specific. We don't deal with shares. It's something about semantics that we're really careful about saying, but it's a token drop for sure.
Yeah, well, the reason I bring it up is more historical for the BitShares and PTS days and all that stuff. But thank you very much. We did go quite a bit over today, and I will apologize as the moderator, but this is a pretty big thing as well. And you're explaining a lot of stuff, so I didn't really want to cut in too much because all of it to me was gold as I was listening to it. And this is your first time coming on, so thank you very much for joining us. Is there anything that if people want to reach out to you, is there a way of them contacting you if they would like to work with the project, or if they would like to, use the service? Use the
Sure.
service.
Yeah. So right now, at this point, what we're doing is we're doing a very aggressive push, looking for people that want to be we call them app brokers. Anyone that refers an app to the system will be able to get tokens from the respective portfolio that app ends up in, and also if that app ends up being sold, they should be able to share in our commission of that. So the whole goal is to be representatives for app publishers. So if you want to incubate your app and grow it before you actually sell the rights to it, you should throw it into a portfolio. If you decide after 1 or 2 years, if we've grown the app within that point, some people have tracked it using the data, and they feel comfortable moving forward with an offer for acquisition, then we want to open up that to them. If you want more information about our early bird token sale, you can go right now to apptrade.io and just look at the information that's up there. We're going to unveil a complete strategic overview after the 31st, when our initial coin offering, the official token launch happens, and that's when we're going to give a much more meaty information, even executive profiles, a strategic overview, more videos and more articles are going to be released after the 31st. And we're usually on also on the Telegram BitShares, but I kind of would like to populate our Twitter account. We only have like 22 followers on there, so it'd be great to start moving that up. Our plan is to launch the platform sometime in July. We've already built half of it, the front end. Now we have to go ahead and marry that with the blockchain functions on a test net, I imagine, coming up sometime soon. Few months after the official token launch.
Well, it sounds wonderful, man. I look forward to hearing more updates from you, and I'll talk to you behind the scenes. But thank you for joining up, and thank you for talking about what you're talking about, because it's always cool to see from the community who's kind of been here supporting these technologies from the beginning, how we've always knew that people were going to carry torches and that they were going to do amazing things with the technology, but it's kind of like walking through a cave with a torch. You can't really see too far into the future until you get there. So to watch this stuff and projects like this starting to pop up is really, well, I'll say this, it's confirming what a lot of people have believed about BitShares being at the lowest price they've ever, like the best deal they've ever seen. So with that said,
Thanks.
Thank you very much too, man. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to move on to the next segment, which is going to be Virtual Growth. Virtual Growth, are you available?
Yes.
Thank you for your patience, man. You are here to talk about various projects that you work on, and you're kind of a community builder yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and step back and let you give some updates on what you are working on, what any updates on previous projects, any new updates on any new projects. Maybe you like to support various other projects that are maybe not projects that you run, which is something that's dear to my heart. So I'm going to step back and I'll let you do what you do best. But for those who are not familiar with Virtual Growth, this is kind of his realm. So if you're interested in this type of stuff, this is one of the best guys that I know to talk about it.
All right. Hello, everyone. Yeah, this kind of stems from when I was in the Boy Scouts. I actually made it all the way to Eagle Scout, so you just kind of reach out and lead from the middle, because that's where the core is. You attach to the people at the top and the bottom. The top doesn't reach the bottom, and the bottom doesn't reach the top.
Oh, it's glue, buddy.
It is glue. That's
you're
cool.
You're the creamy Oreo middle.
So, Steam Prentice is a chat group. Is up to 288 members. That was founded by Psycho Chico originally. That was one of the original things that I came here and talked about. That is a mixture of users. New users can go there and ask questions. Anybody can go and ask questions about almost anything. We have artists. We have different people, different content, writers, even some witnesses as well that help out. It's been a fairly successful project. People go there for help. Steam Prentice is also listed on the Steam It Help page, the original page, all the way at the bottom. It's in Steam Prentice chat channels. People can find it there as well. So that's been successful, and there's been a bunch of other resources that help people as well. That has evolved into a crowd guild as far as a Steam Prentice account, which has about 100 invested members. I created a BitShares asset called Steam P, so Steam, which can be traded on for BitShares assets in the future with just Steam initially. It will be for Steam Power in the Steam Prentice account, which votes for a myriad of people. I've decided to vote for people above 60 reputation and vote for them early for better chances in curation awards, and also to stick with the theme of spreading wealth, to spread wealth for the people who want to invest in the Steam Power in an account, which is a bigger account, which will help minnows, and also a Steam Prentice group to help minnows with any questions they may have. That's another way to help people and share value. I've been working more with Trail, with Instructor 21. I helped them with starting a market, which I also did with Task Manager. I own over 1,000 of tokens of each and have bought and sold over 1,000 tokens of each. Trail has a market cap of $555 with 109 holders. And anyone can follow Trail on Streamium as a curation trail. You can also follow Steam Prentice as a curation trail as well now. That's recently listed. And moving on, I created VirtualGrowth from this. From profits from trading Task Manager alone, I made enough for my lifetime membership for BitShares and creating other tokens, which include VirtualGrowth, Steam Gold, and Steam P or Steam. VirtualGrowth has a market cap of over $3,000 with 50 holders currently. I use VirtualGrowth to invest in community and other cryptocurrencies and BitShares user-issued assets. I also have small holdings, just to mention, in PeerPlays, BlockPay, and SoulCert, which will grow over time. You're very welcome, Instructor 21. A lot of people thank me for my hard work, and that's appreciated. I don't think it's hard work. I just do stuff, just here and there, wherever I fit. Steam Gold is my latest introduction because I wanted to be involved with games. I created a game account and was in a group called The Game on Steam at Chat many months ago. We were trying to figure out what to do. X factor is a very interesting thing. I want to know what the X factors are. So what we can do to attack those X factors, to turn them on side their head and turn them into value, because that's how you break into big markets. What cryptocurrency and many projects here do as well. SirLunch, the host, will be talking about Steam It Chronicles, which is a game he created. I gave a little feedback. I haven't had to do much, which is to help him out so far, which is good. But he also said that he wants me to help him later on. That could be scary, but that sounds like a challenge. That could be a good thing. So Steam Gold will be valuation initially on sale for 2 Steam if people are interested as just an offer. And half of the Steam received that way will be used for development for future games of Steam. This will be with SirLunch, the host, initially, if that's what the community is interested in. Steam Gold may also be used to award people with other games. I may use the game account to make posts about these ideas and to mention different games like Task Manager has. I did it in the past a little bit, but it didn't have much traction, so I've stepped away from it. But I think I might do that again. And I've mentioned this idea and thrown it out. And people are interested in possibly receiving Steam Gold for defeating bosses in Steam It Chronicles game that was created by SirLunch, the host. So if you're interested in playing Steam Chronicles and you beat a boss, you can send me a picture to VirtualGrowth on Steam at Chat or Steam on Discord for verification on some sort, and I will give you some Steam Gold. We may give out Steam Gold for other reasons. That will be dependent on what the community wants and what makes sense to do so.
Hey, VirtualGrowth. I hate to interrupt, but have you considered posting that, having them post it to the blockchain, the Steam blockchain? Just for, it would be something that they could make a little bit of funds from too, potentially. And it would also be something that, having it on the blockchain, even if it doesn't get voted up as much as some things, it would still be something that would be valuable.
Want to define that day for me?
Huh?
What in particular are you talking about?
Posting the actual images of them defeating the bosses onto the blockchain.
Oh, okay. I
Just a
said
thought.
privately for a reason, because of verification, because anybody can use them. That's
Oh,
kind of
I
where it
see.
comes tricky. Something like that in the future when we have a better system, but right now it's not. I was trying to incentivize the value of
Yeah.
playing because we don't have a way to do that yet, not easily, because cryptocurrencies, we cannot easily link to the games, and scoring and everything else is tricky.
Good point.
But in the future, we'll definitely do things like that, and people are welcome to do that afterwards to get more rewards.
It would be a cool little promotional thing to do.
Of course. SirLunch, the host, is also offering a small prize for the first person that beats the game.
Awesome. And what is that prize?
You'll have to ask him when he's up.
Oh, okay. Well, you're working with him, so I won't ask too many secrets.
Well, he knows better than me. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Well, I wasn't sure if you were kind of sponsoring it. Now, if out of all the tokens that you were talking about, which ones would you consider to be the main one that you're doing? As far as, would that be the VirtualGrowth token?
The VirtualGrowth token, that is correct.
So that's kind of like the way to get a cut in all the projects that you really are supporting, and the tokens that are under that you're supporting as well.
That's correct. VirtualGrowth is kind of my coverall. That will receive profits from trading and being a market maker for Trail and Task Manager, for example.
I love it. Well, does anybody have any questions or comments before you do so much, man? So I love to bring you on, and I love to hear what you're doing, because a lot of the stuff that you're up to is stuff that nobody else has really done yet, or you're finding things that nobody's done yet. So it's kind of like a bag of cool toys that you bring along with you. So the VirtualGrowth is going to be the big token. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this token, or any of, I would say any of the tokens that he's trading would probably be something for the people who are like SirLunch, the host, and stuff, to talk about their own token. But any questions about maybe what tokens he's supporting, the VirtualGrowth token itself?
Steve Power Twins are not my guest this week. I haven't talked to them recently. They've been busy. It's also winter for them, so it's cold, and taking time to deal with snow and coldness is also another matter.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I think that it's really cool to see what you're doing with it and how you're doing the trading and everything. I don't know how you have the time to do it, but you do. You dig into about everything that you can get your hands on. So I love to hear the updates every week. So thank you for the updates on what is going on this week. And really thank you for considering to use the UIA system in BitShares, because it's something that people like you who do bring that X factor, and you like to find that X factor to really bring some value to communities who are doing various cool projects. So thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to...
I'm just going to mention one other thing.
Oh, sure.
The Prophet Zero I talked to, some people know him, he's a witness, he's only 15 years old. He had an original project called Steam Store, which I might actually help him with. I have a background in e-commerce and retail, and that's something I want to explore, but it doesn't seem like it makes sense to do yet. But I'm hoping to find some type of solution. For Stickin and some other people have also asked me to pursue this idea, as you have and others. And Steamland is there if anybody wants to use it as a virtual world 3D environment to do meetings or presentations. Feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, if there's any way they're going to have to reach out to you, what would be the best way of doing so?
Steemit Chat, Discord, or SteamSpeak on Discord.
And that will be the same name across all platforms, which is VirtualGrowth, all one word.
Of course.
All right. Now, with that said, thank you, man. Really, we've got almost 2 hours of awesome content so far from all the people who have joined up. So I want to remind everybody to support the individuals who are coming on to these programs and programs like it, where you are able to hear and participate in actually asking questions to them if you so choose to do so. it's a cool kind of media that I think that we should strive to continue utilizing to its fullest and expanding on its use cases and the flexibility and the tools that we use for this. So with that said, krnel is actually a special person who works on specifically something called Steam Cure. And he's also somebody who helps a lot with the Beyond Bitcoin community by cutting up these Hangouts into segments that each guest speaker speaks at. So you can support his efforts by upvoting him on Steemit and the content that he produces, but he actually cuts these into shareable segments that are bite-sized for each specific project. I'm sure the more support he gets, the more of them he'll be willing to do. So always consider supporting him and his efforts. And krnel, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, then it's probably good for me to stop and let you go ahead and step up to the front and maybe give some updates on what you're doing, talk about whatever you were wanting to talk about today in the Hangout, and I'll step back.
All right. I'm guessing Daily Bitcoin News is not here?
No, he is not.
All right. Just making sure.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm krnel, and my project is Steam Cure. And it's about, well, I'll just tell you, Kure, if ever you're looking for it, not with a C, or else you won't find it. And it's steamkure.com. And the KURE is also an acronym that I came up with, meaning Kindred United to Reward Excellence. So the goal is to create your own curation groups, guilds, projects, or lists that you're interested in, I guess, networking with other people about a specific category or topic or tag, some type of content that interests you that you want to reward, and you want to support the people who put out that content. So people network together and they reward the excellence in, if you're interested in blogging, then the different categories there, or in pictures, photography, art, whatever. And it'll be a place for people to facilitate networking, to organize, and to promoting the content that they want to promote. And this would be a lot easier on Steemit if we had instant messaging, which is, a lot of people want that. And I opened a ticket shortly after I came to Steemit saying that this is needed for social media and improving interactivity. But Steam Cure has that functionality. It would be a place to you can post lists. So you can add posts to your list. Right now it's very primitive. It's just a demonstration, but afterwards it could develop into something. So I want to know more feedback from people if this is a good idea. I know Fuzzy likes it, other people like it, but would it be useful as a third-party site? Would you use it? Like, one, is it a useful thing would you use? And two, would you use it on a third-party site, or is it too cumbersome to go somewhere else to look for stuff and add it to lists, or would it be beneficial for you? Thanks.
I personally think that it appeals to a specific segment of people, because a lot of people are not getting into social media who are extremely interested in upvoting the best of the best content for specific things. A lot of people are just kind of perusing, but I believe there is a segment that could definitely use this tool. Now, I don't know if the functionality in and of itself might need, other things added on or not, but I like it. I think that it's a cool way and another way of helping to find content and support content as a community too, which it can't be underestimated.
Yeah, like if I develop it, of course, it would be, it'd be better that way. More people would have the opportunity to explore it and feedback, and then it might grow in popularity. So I'd have to get my ass in gear and get it done if I want to get, I guess, more feedback and see how people use it more and all that. So I guess I should do that.
Well, it would be interesting to tokenify it at some point in time, but I won't bring that up too deep right now. But it is a very cool has anybody here used Steam Cure or checked it out yet? Or do they have any questions about how to use it, or just really anything? This is a perfect time to ask some questions to Colonel about what he's building.
Yeah, and if you don't, no problem. We can just move on to the next guest. Like I said, I didn't have many updates for the project, so no biggie.
Well, I see this as also an opportunity for not only people to ask you questions, but for you to ask the community questions and maybe ask for support on things as well, you know.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the brief idea, posted the link for the first official post when it was online. Has some GIF screenshots showing what you can do if you want to test it out. There's an email link on the main site. If you're not logged in, it's just admin@steamcure.com. You can give me feedback. Or on the post if you can still comment. But yeah, just if you think it's a good idea, and if it's a good idea, would you actually use it on another site? Because a lot of people want that one location and the one click, one stop. So that's just another aspect, or whatever other feedback, what sucks, what's good, anything, go right ahead, contact me and let me know. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel. I'll go ahead and I'll leave this like maybe a 30-second period just of silence. Anybody can ask any questions they want or bring up whatever you'd like.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good deal. Hey, Fuzz, just want to let you know that Colonel's going to be joining us this evening when we discuss, we have our hangout this evening discussing tools and stuff. We briefly discussed the tool, some of the things he's doing with Steam Cure, so I think he'll have something good to add for us this evening.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for your time, and that's all, I guess. Thanks.
Well, I actually kind of like to leave the blank space because people do generally have things that they would like to ask. And if you let them sit there in silence for a moment, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but people feel uncomfortable sitting in moments of silence sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So you can. There's a way of essentially forcing it. So I do kind of do that if I can. But if you feel like that's covering it and you would like to end your segment, that's fine as well. This is your time, man.
All right. Well, I'll just say one last thing. Q Chicken 2 said, "Thanks, Colonel. I was going to ask that posting keys are required for this operation." Yeah, and I think I mentioned it. It uses Steam Connect, and that's part of I think Fabian, who's also in Busy, he's involved with that. So they don't store your keys. I don't store them. My code's online. You can go look. I don't do anything with the password. The only thing I do in the database is I take your username so I can create a username, and that's how I track you. But the login is done from Steam Connect, and they don't store your password, they don't store your posting key or whatever other key you use, so it's safe. You can look more into Steam Connect and verify things. I have it in that introductory post above if anyone is worried about security.
Do you know or talk to the people from Steam Connect at all, or you just kind of use their service?
I've talked to Fabian, so I have communication with that person, and I've talked to Akicho from busy.org.
Oh, okay, and busy.org is going to be using this service as well in some way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it would be kind of cool to see what other use cases and what other things will be able to use Steam Connect for, because it's kind of cool that it enables you to build something around it like this, you know?
Yeah, it makes things a lot easier for us because I had made my own login, but then they came out with theirs, so it's more of it's a third party, but it's more trusted than say like me just make, hey, I got my own custom login, you know.
Yeah.
If everyone just trusts, they know Steam Connect, they can know the names of the programmers like Fabian and people involved, and they've been involved in other projects like the ACPM for the JavaScript API, and so it's there's more confidence in trusting them as a service, so I use that, and it's very good. I recommend Steam Connect.
Heck yeah, man. Well, if anybody wants to reach you or contact you in some way, shape, or form, what is the best way to do so if they would like to help you in some way or ask questions?
Well, I guess since we don't have PM features on Steam, not really a point in commenting on one of my other posts, but just send me an email at admin@steamcure.com, and that's cure, Kure, and that'd be the best way. It goes to my main email, so I'll get it for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Now, next up is going to be SirLunch, the host. He's going to be talking about his Steam It video game series and the TU podcast. And I'm going to go ahead and ask SirLunch, are you available to speak right now?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and step back and let you take up the talking stick and give us a little bit of an understanding of what's going on in your sphere of the world.
Sounds good. So I'm going to let you guys know I am extremely tired. All right, with that out of the way, if you guys don't know, I have a game out called Steam Chronicles Prologue, which is a downloadable game. It's got over 100 downloads so far, so pretty stoked about that. You know, whoop whoop. I'm working on chapter 1. There's 5 chapters in all, so I'm currently working on chapter 1. And yeah, that's, you know, about that. Oh yeah, I'm offering 100 Steam and 5 SD if you beat the game, which is nearly impossible. So good luck doing that. Yeah, it's impossible because chapter or the prologue bleeds into chapter 1 because it's a story that continues to tell itself over the course of 5 chapters. All of them will not be in 2D. I'm upgrading to 3D for chapter 3, which will appropriately be called 3D, and it's still going to tell the story that's developing. I am also working on a new project called Silk, which is Steam and Interactive Learning Course, which is a game that acts as a program that is designed to teach new Steamians the ropes and everything and so forth. I'm also working on another game, kind of stoned, so I forgot the name of it, but there's a post up for it, so you guys check it out. Making all these games, I've been inspired to do something even greater. You know, I'm already working on a lot, so I'm putting together, at first I was calling it a studio, but I think I'm gonna call it a business, where we pretty much are the bridge between everything complicated and everything simple. So everything complicated is the scripting and the coding and the understanding of cryptocurrency, and everything simple is the interface and the app use and everything like that. So I'm working on a few apps myself that pretty much bridge the two together and just make it a very user-friendly interface, because I'm dedicated to teaching the community as I'm teaching myself about the cryptocurrency world and things of that nature. Now, I know that's a lot, and I know some of you are thinking, whoa, how could one guy do all this? Trust me, I can. It's all out in post. Now, a nice project that I'm working on is a cryptocurrency massive multiplayer online video game. I am currently making items that people can buy using cryptocurrency, various forms, of course. And there will be a market for that. You'll have a virtual avatar. You can create a character. It's going to be like, it's not in the sense, it's not going to look like WoW, but it's like WoW, World of Warcraft, interaction-wise and marketplace and dungeons and things like that. It's just different graphics and things of that nature. I see a very huge opportunity and benefit in creating an online game that utilizes cryptocurrency as a currency to buy different things for cash shops and microtransactions and things of that nature. So I am definitely going to venture into that unknown territory. And yeah, as far as game is concerned, that's what I'm doing. And as far as the MMO is concerned, I am 70% almost ready to launch the test server. Right now, as always, when you get to about 70%, you start running into funding problems, of course. So that's what's going on. But I've learned over the past 2 weeks, if you've watched my post, I've learned how to overcome that, right? So with funding, if you don't get the funding you need, but everyone still loves your projects, you just got to push forward, make some sacrifices. And that's what I'm doing, because I think that this MMO game will pay off in the end. And, you know, I'm dedicated to the platform. So yeah, a lot of stuff there. And if anyone wants to get involved with that, message me on Discord or Steam chat. I know a lot of people who do message me on these things already are like, man, you don't respond. And let me tell you, I'm sorry. It's just because I'm like neck deep in virtual reality, creating things for people. And, you know, so
You're
I really, yeah, dude, I really just, I see the message pop up and I'm like, they want to talk about something. And my brain's like, but you want to create this. So it's all about me creating and things like that. With that being said, me and Beans have, me and Beans have been talking a lot, and we stumbled across an idea called VOTU, which stands for Voices of the Underground. And over the past couple of weeks, we decided, hey, why don't we start a unique podcast in the name of VOTU and see where it goes. So Vote 2 is a podcast that me and Beans are currently going to be co-hosting. I think we're aiming for this Saturday to launch. I know it's Friday, and you're thinking, man, that's one day away. But that's the kind of atmosphere we're trying to set. It's going to be it's going to be one of those underground things that you're going to have to catch it. And once you do, you're going to be like, oh, yeah. And you're going to want to catch it after that. We're not trying to be mainstream or publicize it too much. You know what I mean? Hence the underground name and feature. So, yeah, those are all the things that I'm currently getting into and currently have out. And if anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, feel free to voice them now. Well, thank you. That was rather smooth. All right, Fuzz, I'll hand it back to you. And, oh, wait, intentional silence. Oh, yeah, there's that thing. Well, during intentional silence, let me say thank you, everyone, for showing up and taking the time to listen to this wonderful podcast.
Well, what kind of underground stuff are we talking about here? How underground we're gonna get?
Ooh,
Well,
that's a question, buddy.
All right, well, that's easy. Everyone knows Beans for being someone who fights for controversial topics, and everyone knows me for having a nice, smooth voice. We're going to combine those, and we're going to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about on the Steam platform because they're afraid of getting flagged. In this podcast, you won't get flagged unless you're just complete jackass, in which you probably won't get flagged. You will just probably get laughed and ridiculed and mocked at because in the underground, we don't shut anyone out. We accept everyone, and your actions will probably just get you laughed at. So that's what we're all about. And again, me and Beans came up with this idea because let me quote Beans, who was quoting Batman. What was it? I'm the hero that Steam it needs, not the one it deserves. So that's what Beans said to me, and that's what really got this thing going.
That's such a wise statement in terms of what you guys are talking about. That's exactly what I could see. The vigilantes.
It was even greater because she said that in voice, and I was just like, and she said it in Batman voice, and I was like, all right, this is going to be perfect. We got this.
An Irish Batman voice.
So, I mean, overall, that's what it's about. It's a place for people to come and voice both sides of the fence without fear of flag, fear of downvote, fear of losing their money on the Steam platform. Granted, the podcast will be released, for the public to listen to. But I mean, then at that point, I think it's either the podcast that'll get flagged or downvoted, or people just hunt you down and look for your original posts. And let me just put this out there. We are not afraid of being flagged, downvoted, talked against. We are just voicing both sides of the fence. And if anyone has a problem with that, well, you just got problems that we obviously can't solve.
Have you guys thought of actually approaching like the most flagged people for interviews and try to see like what they're doing? And because sometimes people who are really flagged are actually like really successful too. Being flagged doesn't necessarily mean that you're hated, your content's hated. It can sometimes mean that you just upset a bunch of people who have a lot of Steam power.
Yeah, we've been reaching out to certain people since last night, the discovery of the Nazi of Daily Bitcoin News. I'm going to be reaching out to that account and seeing if they want to join, whoever they are, because I think that'd be interesting to have on. But yeah, we've been doing that. It's going to have if anyone's familiar with the Space Ghost Coast to Coast show, it's going to have a very comedic feel to that. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff. We're going to be doing skits and things like that. So it's going to be awesome. It's not going to be like anything you've heard before. And yeah, it's going to be crazy. So just sit tight, and hopefully we can get that going on Saturday if I'm not too busy making these games and these interactive learning things that I love to do. So if there's any more questions or comments or concerns, let me know.
How do we hook up to that?
We are currently deciding between Mumble and Discord. Mumble seems like the more underground feel vibe, and Discord seems like the mainstream. So we're still arguing back and forth about that. Oh, and quick little thing, guys. On the post, if you guys could support me and say that Bean should date me, that'd be awesome. Because I was kind of asking her if she wanted to date, and she kind of kept blowing me off. So show that support, guys. Love you too.
Is she near you? Can you like actually date, or are you talking like game date?
I'm talking like date, bro. So, all right. So just show that support, guys. All right.
Okay. Maybe we can all vote for roses.
Well, because we had a bet going on. I reached out to Ned, and I was like, yo, Beans, if Ned, hits us back to be on our show, you totally have to date me. And she was like, we'll see. But it's Friday and Ned hasn't hit back, so I need to do another approach, guys.
Well, maybe I'll annoy him and see if he'll listen to me. I don't always agree with Ned, so if he does, it's out of a very good heart on his side.
You can add it to the game.
I mean, I'm a very hands-on person. I like to be creative, and I thought to myself, if I could get beans to date, maybe we were dating while doing this podcast, it would be so much better. And I believe in my visions, and this is a vision that I have, so I'm going after it.
Well, I'll say that I love the passion, man. We are going to be talking a little bit about various things at 7 o'clock regarding people who are potentially going to be holding their own hangouts, their own podcasts, or running community events and things like that, distribution of tokens. We're looking at tools and different things that we can use to help enable that and kind of, how do I say, lubricate the working mechanisms within the machine, so we can kind of get this thing rolling and the actual steam power and horsepower driving us into the new wild west, so to speak. But I do want to definitely say that anybody who is joining here for guest speaking positions or who has been part of Beyond Bitcoin, you're more than welcome to join up and listen in tonight as we do that. I'm hoping that people who join up will be interested in participating and trying to help us work on getting these tools built in some way, shape, or form, and let's form like a collaborative group around this. That's one of my main goals, has been facilitating that, because then all these different shows that everybody's going to have, they can offer their own tokens, they can have sponsors that offer their tokens and stuff like that too. There's a lot of cool stuff we can do. I'm really thinking meta, and if everybody here is interested in that, feel free to join us at 7:05 tonight, and that is going to be Central Time, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Now, with that said, yep, Central Time, baby. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thank everybody who attended today. I'm going to thank SirLunch, obviously. I can understand why you say you're tired, because this is the stuff that you're doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, man, and you're doing some really cool things. So keep on being tired, I guess, is the point that I'm going to leave it at.
Well, can I say one last thing, sir?
Sure.
Sorry. Also, I am accepting donations, not for my current project, but because I want to hire people from the Steemit community, and I want to actually be able to pay them. So I'm looking for donations to hire people, or if you know someone who's willing to work and is familiar with game knowledge, then send them my way.
Well, I definitely can. I can say that I think once we have some of these tools for the tokenification of all this stuff, it's going to be a lot easier to get donations too. So I know once the stuff I get done I'm working on gets done, I will be giving you Fuzzy Vest tokens that you can get upvotes and stuff for, because I really like what you're doing. I really like I'm going to probably do it for all the guest speakers who are joining every week. So you'll get that for sure, because I think it's really cool what you're doing, man.
Balling with them fuzzy tokens.
I also created Steam Gold if people are interested in using that. That's what it's there for.
Okay, so people can buy the Steam Gold, and how are they going to be able to get the upvotes from you directly?
Well, it won't be for upvotes. I was going to use half of that for awards for the game and half of it to SirLunch for his development. That way you can get a return somehow in the future.
No, that's a good question. How do you guys see that working now that both of you guys are here? That was a cool sound.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm just going to go ahead and use my procrastinating level skill right here, level 70 procrastinator, and say that me and Virtual will talk about this behind the scenes or in the after talk. So we really haven't discussed that.
Sure.
To be completely honest and fair to VirtualGrowth, because he represents me a lot and he does a lot for me, I just been busy and I haven't been showing him the attention that I should have been showing him for us to connect on these projects. So after today, we will definitely be connecting a lot more and a lot closer. So sorry about that,
I've been busy. That's no problem. You're doing stuff. That's all that matters. It's just mentioning it, and we'll talk.
Yeah, we're all busy, and And it is sometimes hard because I know that in the BitShares ecosystem, there are a lot of people who I know and trust who I don't talk to nearly as much as I would like to. I know that there are not enough people in Steam that I would, that I'd like. As more and more projects come up, it's just like you just have to focus on what you're doing. And we all expect, as the growth of this ecosystem occurs, that's what's going to happen. But, at the same time, we're all going to be benefiting from that in the early days, and we are always going to have that history too. I just know that it makes me happy to say, okay, if I don't have to worry there are other people who are doing this, and this, and this. You know what I mean? There are people doing stuff. That's the key thing for blockchain technology in general. If there are people working on a blockchain and using it, then it is alive and the service is strong. Okay, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to say thank you everybody for joining this week. You can join every week at 10 Eastern, which is 9 Central Time, and that is going. Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Fuzz. I was actually silent because I'm trying to explain to Beans right now what I just did on the Beyond Bitcoin show. So I was trying to respond, but I'm also trying to explain to Beans this huge conundrum of a situation. Don't worry, though. Keep it in. It's going to be priceless. It's going to be gold. But yeah, that's why I was silent. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. Well, I mean, this is kind of a playground, a sandbox of sorts, too, right? We're all working in an area that's really new. So there's a lot to work out sometimes, and there's a lot of volatility sometimes, like the ground shaking beneath you. I mean, anybody who wants to debate that can look at Bitcoin before China decided to swat the price down. I mean, this space, even Bitcoin, which is the biggest bully on the playground, or the biggest boy on the playground, can still get, it can't really support everything without there being hiccups along the way. So this technology, the people who are bleeding edge into this technology and are willing to take that risk are really driving us into the future at this point. So we can't expect perfection. We expect persistence, I guess, is the best way of saying it.
La 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 la.